We're conducting this class virtually, although Wednesdays is designated for us to be in person, and it's our lab period, and we'd like to do this thing together in person as we have it set up. Sometimes, if the situation comes, we will do it virtually as well. And if we do so, I'm going to make sure I give you a good lesson or something to back it up, as I'm going to do today. All right, I'm under the weather, so it's better that we are not in contact. And having said all that, let's begin. I'm going to share my screen right now and turn off my camera to better stream my monitor. And here we go. I just announced the extension for the project, so I know it's Wednesday. We did start this semester on a Wednesday, so because we had a few classes and you're just getting comfortable with the software. Some of you got the software a little later, and you're maybe haven't had a chance to practice it yet. I'm going to give you an extension. The deadline for the project for the assignment is Friday. Okay, the logo. If you did submit it already, not to worry. Just move on to the other stuff. If you want to resubmit it, I think you have another attempt available. If not, just let me know on the chat. This is where we left off on Monday's class. Okay, so we did all these different logo combinations and possibilities. I mean, if you know how to do all this, there's a lot of logos that are out there that cover 90% of these techniques that I showed you in the last lesson. The lessons before that supplement everything going forward. So just a good recap and an introduction to how to design logos in Illustrator. We're going to take it to the more advanced topics now, whereas you're going to learn how to draw more like an object-oriented environment as Illustrator presents itself to be. And we'll continue doing logo challenges in the future as well, as I have some other ones we can learn from. So all in all, when you're finished this Illustrator module, I want you to be confident and comfortable using the software to your own ability and produce such results. Okay, and I know you can do it because of the way of my track record with my previous students, and I'm sure when you hand in your logo, you're gonna attest to that as well. So I'm going to open Blackboard first, just to kind of cover our curriculum here. So class 3 is the Android logo. This was it's this week's class, so we're gonna cover it today. I want you to download this file when you can. You can do it now, or you can do it while you're watching this video. I'm going to make this available for you. And if you click on it, you can download it at any time. I'm going to choose the desktop for this. So over here. Right. And this logo is a really good learning curve, especially at this point of time when you're already elaborating different drawing techniques with basic shapes and typography in Illustrator. This will pave the way for us to learn the more intermediate and advanced techniques in the program. So that's why I really love how this logo is made for us to recreate. I'm sure you're familiar with this logo. We used to do Apple logo. Now Android is a little more elaborate, so we can do maybe Apple next time if you guys want to do that. This is the advanced drawing module. For this one, we're going to start it next week. I'm going to ask you to trace letters and do some more advanced tracing techniques using the pen tool. So I'm going to leave it hidden for now. I want you to focus on this one here. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. Once you download this file, we're going to open it up. Pardon me. This is the file here. It is an Illustrator file, so if you do double click on it, you will open up the application. And it's all set up for you in a way, so you can type of treat it like a tracing elements of drawing type of scenario. So if I open up the layers panel, and again, it's under layers over here, the layers panel in Illustrator, very popular and common. This is already set up for you. So in case you want to do something of your own in the future, you can set it up the same way. I'm going to show you how to do it. as it is right now, it's ready to go. Layer one is where our original artwork is placed. When I say artwork, I mean this is a picture on the internet. Look how jaggedy and pretty, it looks pretty bad in terms of the quality. Our job is to make it a vector and trace it perfectly. Okay. And don't think the technique like that one. I think you had a question, one of the students, how to trace the icons. It works in some cases, but in this case, it won't work because the quality is not that good. And for what it is, it's probably better off doing this technique that I'm going to show you. But for the purpose of showing you both methods, let's try the tracing method as I demonstrated last class. In order for me to do that, I will have to unlock this logo and double click on the layer and turn off the template option, whereas it'll return to normal. Normal means I went on the internet, I copied and pasted a picture and placed it in this layer, right? So I'm kind of doing backwards here, reverse engineering, to show you how I presented this case. Because let's say you're doing Apple logo, okay? Just want to show you the beginning here. There's the Apple logo. We want to trace this. We right click, save the image onto the desktop. Okay. You go to Illustrator. Let's pretend this logo wasn't here. Let's just pretend I'm doing this from the beginning. I'll make a new document. I'll do a print size, letter size, landscape. Okay, you can do any size you want, but this one is pretty popular with the designs because it's like a US letter page. And then I go to File, this one layer here, File, Place. Here's the Apple logo. Make sure the link is disabled. And there's the logo, right? Now, it doesn't look that bad. However, it's still a bitmap image. So because this one is nicely, um, type of rendered, or the quality is pretty good, the resolution, it might pass for the trace method, which I'm going to do right now. Under here, image trace, we'll do what's called a silhouette. And this is how you can trace any icons from the internet. Now, because you did this, doesn't mean you can just change the color now, because black is the default color, because it's a silhouette is the black default. What you must do is expand it, and then you can change the color. So if you're missing one of the steps, is expand. Let me undo again. So don't forget to expand it in order for you to change the color of your choice. Okay? That's how you can do pretty much this, um, vector trace thing. And it's not bad because the quality was good to begin with. So we might pass. I mean, this is not, yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not gonna knock it. If it looks good, it looks good, right? Now, you're not always gonna be this fortunate because looking at a logo like this, if we do try to trace it, let's do this one with the silhouette as well. Look at this. See, it's not that perfect. There's another mistake here. Look at these antennas. So you would have to basically fix this. Look at the feet, they're pointy, right? So sometimes you're not going to get the best result, which if you're a professional, your job is to make it perfect. Okay, this is not acceptable. So I'm going to have to press Command Z, undo. And this is why we're going to retrace this or recreate an object like this one, okay? So the way I did it was the same way. I went on the internet. I found the picture of this, Android logo, right? I found the picture of the Android logo. Just want to show you how I did it, right? So there's, whatever. Right click, save image as on my desktop. Then I went to Illustrator. In this layer one, I went to File, Place, and I placed the picture like I did with the Apple logo, okay? Once it's set up here, pretend this layer doesn't exist, okay? Once this is set up, what you have to do is make it a template. I don't know if you've ever done this in your, in your past. When you trace something on a light table or a window, you get to tape it with a piece of tape, and then you put a tracing paper on top of it, and you can trace it with a pencil. It's like two layers. One is the original artwork, one is the one you're tracing it to. To create that scenario, Illustrator has a setup, perfect setup for you. So to do that, you must have to double click on this layer one first and convert it to template. There's a checkbox here. This will automatically dim this to 50%. So it's like a semi-transparent color. And you can even name it a template as well, so you can trace it properly. That's why it looked faded to begin with. And then we add a new layer. And layer two is where we trace the actual object, which I'm going to start doing from this point going forward. Now, the file I gave you looks like this exactly at this point going forward. So you don't have to do all these steps I just showed you, but I did want to note the steps because they're important. In case you want to recreate something of your own, you might want to know how to set it up. You're not going to learn doing this if I'm just going to ask you to trace this. Setting it up is important. This is why I showed you what I just did earlier, okay? So having said that, this file exactly is the one you downloaded at this point onwards from the course, okay? So this file is already set up for you. Because that's some, students had problems before setting it up. It wasted a lot of time. So I made a ready to use file. Ready to use file is this one here. And if I'm not sure, I'll just go to file, revert, and I'll revert it from the beginning. So we're all on the same page. Okay, there we go. So now that we have the template set up, okay, and I showed you how to do that from scratch, placing an image, double clicking on it, template, right? Make sure. Layer two is where we trace the actual elements. And this is where you learn some really cool fundamental tricks in Illustrator. And you can do this in no time. Okay. First, I'm going to start with a rectangle shape. And I'm going to trace this arm on the far left side here. Just going to go ahead and do that. And then right away, instinctively, go back to the selection tool. Because eventually you're going to have to reshape it, reposition it and stuff like that, right? I also can't see what's behind it with this white fill. So I'm going to change the fill to none. None means this little red line going across, but the stroke is still black. So I can still see like the black border of the outline of what I'm trying to trace. This also enables me to perfectly situate the object on top of my traced design. So I'll just trap the arm like that. Next, I'm going to click, and again, this is an object that's hollow. It's like putting your hand through a ring or a loop. You can't select it now because there's nothing here to grab. But if you click on the stroke, you can select it because remember, it has a frame with no outline. I apologize. A frame with no fill. Outline is the stroke. That's the same thing. If you catch these little corners here on the inside and you move them in, that's how you can round the shape. So just by you doing that, you just created the arm from using a rectangle. Okay. I'm going to click on this now in the center. That's another way to select objects is from the center, like this. And to duplicate it on the other side, you can go Option, drag. You can hold Shift too to perfectly constrain it. So there's the other copy. I'm also going to hold Option and do one here. Option and do another one over here. So that accounted for like a good portion of the design already. Okay. Another one you can do View, Outline mode. Outline mode gives you, well, you can kind of see the outline through the fill, but there's no fill right now, so it doesn't make sense to do that. But I will, from time to time, go to outline mode and preview mode. Stay with preview mode for now. Next, we're going to do the body. For that, here's the rectangle tool again. I'm going to start from here, go all the way across. Now, if it's snapping like this, that's because I have something called View Smart Guides. If you turn that off, you're gonna have an easier time resizing these things to the lowest increment, because then if it's not, it snaps to the invisible grid line and objects that are parallel to that one. So just take off all these, guides, constraints under here. Smart guides in this case was disabled, and there's other guides here as well, but that's the only one you should know for now. So here's the trick here. I want to round the bottom edges, but not the top edge. And we all know that if we do this, we round it, but it rounds the whole thing. So I'm going to press Command Z. How do I only round the bottom corners and not the top corners? Well, there's an answer for that, and this is by getting very specific with our selections. Instead of using the black selection tool, I'm going to use the white one, the light gray one, okay? And with that one, I'm going to carefully click on this corner. I'm going to hold Shift and click on the other corner. Notice I have only the two corners selected with this direct selection tool. This is your, anchor points tool. If you only select those 2 points and you go in any one of them and you shift this upwards, you only get to round those 2 segments unilaterally, so you don't have to affect the top ones. And that's how you can now select of what exactly you can control in terms of, rounding the corners or not rounding the corners. So knowing these techniques is important because you can then kind of recreate anything from using basic objects and shapes. Lastly, I'm going to select all these shapes like this, click and drag the mouse all the way across, and I'm going to use the eyedropper tool. This one picks color. By the way, if you click on any tool, it'll just give you a quick tutorial on how it works. So it's funny enough, it's picking the same green color that we want, which we're going to go ahead and click on this green or this green to make that color green. Another thing I want to do is unite all these objects, something similar that we did with the logos. So that's under the Pathfinder palette, and I've covered this quite redundantly so far by integrating it with logo techniques, remember? So with this one, we can just use this one to unite all these shapes into one. So if I press, view outline, you can see through, or preview, you can see the preview. So pretty much 80% of our Android is done. You can see this is pretty much the traced elements on top. The advantage, of course, is when you trace a vector shape instead of a bitmap shape, is you get a real crisp vector object. And people pay money for this because, to create vector shapes is not something that anybody can do. Even AI, I don't think it's capable to do this yet. You still need human intervention and drawing tools like Illustrator to make it happen. And for websites and other things, even print, you need an SVG or an EPS format to, scale it to any size and to use it for many type of scenarios. I'm not going to sell you this already because I know you know it's important, so you can use it for print or web, of course. Okay, now let's handle this top part here. It's a little more complex, but nothing we can't do so far with the techniques we've learned. So for this one, it looks like a round shape. Therefore, I'm going to use a round as the ellipse tool. And starting maybe my imaginary guide is, remember this? This is the vertical and the horizontal. Better yet, I can press Command or Control R. Command R. That's view rulers. Hide rulers. Or show rulers. Command or Control R is the universal shortcut for viewing the rulers in most Adobe programs. What the rulers let you do, and again, Command R, Control R, is set up guides, such as this one here. If I click on the ruler and I drag the guide, there's my horizontal. If I click on the left side, drag it to the right, there's my vertical. Guides keeps objects aligned, and it gives you a good way of, guidance or to relate your alignments and shapes in order and keeps your designs in check, gives you more organized layout structure. However, in this case, it gives you a more technical guide to do something like this with the circle tool. I know because this meets here and this meets over there, but me intersecting the points here and starting as using it as a starting point to draw an elliptical shape, I can for sure capture a good portion of the exact perfect shape that I'm tracing. So again, that's starting right in the corner here to the opposite corner as we naturally draw these things. Now I can't see what's behind this, so I'm going to press View, Create Outline. I'm going to zoom in, and here I'm going to decide my next steps into cutting this shape in half and doing this stuff back and forth. Give me 1 second, please. So now that we selected or created a shape that matches the elliptical outline of the android's head portion, we want to basically split this exactly in half here and omit the bottom half, basically get rid of it, and keep this top half to create this Android semi-slice logo. There's several ways to do this, but I'll show you my favorite two that work really well. The ones that work really well is create a rectangle shape, and that's going to basically create the rectangle shape here. If I press Command Y, just to kind of see both, I'll make this shape, a different color. So by me cutting this from that in half using the Pathfinder method, which is called minus front, I was able to cut this out just very simply by cutting one shape from the other. I mean, that works really well. It's probably the best thing to do. But if I'm going to teach you how to be, experts at this stuff, there's another way I want to teach you on how to do, and that's using the scissors tool. Okay. And the scissors tool is located right here. There's a scissors tool. This one lets you cut paths. So if I snip this path here, like that, and if I snip this path here, so it's like snip, snip with the scissors, right? And then I go to the selection tool, and I select the bottom path and I delete it. I just did the same thing. The thing is, it's not finished, and there's more steps involved doing this. And I want you to know this for more complicated tasks. Honestly, I would use the first method for this. It's probably easier, but I do want to show you as much as I can. So I want to show you how the scissors work, and this presented the perfect opportunity for me to do so. Now I'm going to select the this direct selection tool again. I'm going to say, listen, because this is now still, it's an open path, right? See, it's like an open path. It's not joined, right? Because I cut it right open. So I'm going to select this shape, sorry, this anchor point. I'm going to hold Shift, select the other anchor point, and press Command J or go to Object, Path, Join. This will join the two. So now I have a fully closed shape. I know it's a little off, so I'm just going to simply move this up here like that. And there's our trace elements. Again, the first method makes more sense practically, but if you have to ever cut objects and shapes into a more particular way with more complex paths that maybe the Pathfinder is not ideal, you can definitely accommodate the scissors to make it happen. There's also the eraser tool and the knife tool that I'm not gonna, I mean, they do work, but I'll show you different scenarios how that works as well. I might as well show you now here since I'm talking about it. The scissors, we know how it works, right? You can just go cut, cut, right? And you can just go delete and just cut this in half basically. The eraser tool basically does this. It just cuts it right in the middle and then you can just go cut it that way. But it's very freehand, so it's not perfect. That's why you want to use the eraser tool very rarely when you're kind of doing something more artistic. And this knife tool works in a freehand way as well, but basically what it does is this, and then you can kind of do it that way. It's another freehand method. That's why they're not that popular, because relying on your free hand to cut something, it's not perfect, right? Unless you're tracing something really artistic or, you know, organic, I guess it's okay. But if it's geometrical, then you want to stick to the scissors or the Pathfinder tools to get geometrically straight cuts and stuff like that. All right, so that's why I'm showing you kind of like the more important things. Because if I show you every tool in this program, we're going to be here for like another, 4 months and stuff. So I'm going to show you all the important stuff. And along the way, maybe I'll show you some other miscellaneous ways. But scissors, Pathfinder, those are your go-to tools for cutting perfect shapes. Okay, now let's go and get these antennae done. I want to incorporate as many techniques as possible. So for this one, I'm going to use the stroke tool. Stroke tool just draws lines, basically, right? If I press D for default, I'll get a black outline. So as long as you keep drawing lines, that's what's going to happen. Let me get rid of these guides as well, because we finished using them. So guides, clear guides. Oh. So there's the outline tool. I'm going to increase the stroke weight to like 4. Let's see if this is thick enough. Maybe a little thicker. This is 8. Okay, perfect. So we'll do 8 points, right? 8 points like that, right? Now this is an outline, so the trick is to convert it into an actual shape. How do you convert an outline into a shape? Well, first let's make these corners round, because this is called a butt cap, so it's like straight. And if you go to the stroke properties, I'm going to move the Pathfinder over here. From the window menu, I'm going to open up the stroke panel. And here I'm going to show you how to convert this into, and if you don't see this, by the way, it's because you have to show options. It'll show you all the options that are, and the stroke is the outline, which is very useful in Illustrator, of course, because mostly all your objects have strokes and fills. So this is the cap that I'm talking about. If I click on this one, it'll round the cap, it'll extend the butt cap, or the normal original butt cap. The round one is the one we're seeking, so we're going to switch to that one. And then I'm going to convert this into, instead of a stroke, it'll be a fill. A very common and popular method is to go under the object menu. Trying to look for it here. Oh. Oh, never mind. It's outline stroke, but I was looking for convert to shape. Okay. So if you do outline stroke, I guess the terminology's changed a bit. Outlining the stroke will convert the stroke into a shape. I'm sorry to make this complicated, but that's just how the terminology is. Because this is a path, and we want to outline the stroke to make it a shape, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to use the eyedropper and match the same green color, basically. Okay. So outline stroke. If you look at it again, you can't see it because we already did it, right? So then we want to grab this path here. Keep the stroke over here. And maybe move it around this corner here. So you can go option drag, just do a simple copy. If you option drag shift, it keeps it nice and straight, you see, like that. Right? And then I'll show you how to do a rotate pivot tool. The rotate tool is right here. Okay. But I don't like to rotate it like this because you have not much control doing the axis from the middle. Rather than I like to reposition this over here. Instead of clicking and dragging, you can just go and click. It'll reposition that for you. You have to go click, or click, and click again, basically. Okay. The anchor is here. It's like putting a nail. And then when you put the anchor here, and this works with many transformational methods. If the anchor is here and then I grab the bottom, it'll just make this a perfect swivel effect. See, like swiveling right there. We want it perfectly situated right over here. And then deselect it. Okay, now you have a perfect kind of duplication method. Another way, if I can show you, is by selecting this and going to the reflect tool. This is a nice one too. Reflect will basically mirror something here, the opposite side to over here. And roughly, I'm going to guess the middle is here. This is the reflection axis. So if I click here and I go to this one, but to copy it, I got to hold Option. Because if I don't hold Option, I'm going to do this, right? But if I hold Option and then Shift, Option, Shift usually snaps it to 45-degree angles. So Option, Shift, and let go, and then go with the selection tool. It's not going to be perfect. Just nudge it left, 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 right, left, and make it perfect. It's how you can do it as well. So again, I want to show you the more popular methods of getting this done and orchestrating your own technique and method to perfectly trace almost anything. I'm going to press Command Y, and notice how these are not part of the head yet. They're still separate objects. So what I'll do is I'm going to select all of this together and use the Pathfinder technique to make it into one, okay? And that's what we're going to do that one as well. Give me 1 second, guys, okay? I got to get this. 1 second, please. Take a 5-minute break, okay? 5-minute break, guys. Thank you. My apologies, guys. I have to get that, and it was important. So um, let's continue here. We're almost done with this exercise, by the way. So we do have almost everything done. We got the antennae, we got the head ready. The only thing I was going to do next, you probably guessed it, was to select all these 3 shapes. I use the Pathfinder tool as we did before. Here we go. And just use the same unite shortcut, which will enable you to connect these shapes together. So most of this was a united type of Pathfinder technique. In result, we have this logo all set up. And the only thing left to do is the eyes in the top of the head here. And that involves us creating a circle shape, which is not a problem at all. We go right here. And how do we draw a circle from the center out? I mean, I can do this and hold shift, but I want to show you to do from the middle. From the middle, you got to hold option, click the mouse, and then shift to get option, then shift. And you can do one from the center out if you wish. I'm going to make this a different color. Command Y. I'm pressing Command Y, which is view preview or view outline. I like to do back and forth so I can see exactly more precisely what I'm selecting. So I'm going to hold Option drag, Command Y. Oh, I'm way off on this one. There we go. Okay, so now my goal is to basically punch a hole, two holes to this head. So we're going to select and make sure, again, this is done in steps. Make sure these are united with the head. You can't have this separate. It'll make a mess out of the whole thing. So the steps are important that I'm demonstrating, which means only separate parts are these two circles and this head. This is after I joined the antennae. Okay, so make sure that's the case. Select everything. And you're going to use the second option, which is called minus front. And that should be able to punch the holes through the eyes, and you have a perfectly transparent circles through those eyes there. And that's how you can do the entire, and then I'm going to select the whole thing, right click, group, and that's how you can do the entire Android logo all by yourself here, recreating the design. And again, the main benefit, of course, is this, right? Vector. You can scale this 1,000 times smaller or 1,000 times bigger. It's not going to lose any form of quality because you made this right from scratch using the vector abilities in Illustrator. And no other program, again, there's a few drawing programs out there, but this is like the best one in the world that lets you recreate vector shapes. And you can apply it to all your designs, of course, whether it's logos or any type of artistical vector shapes. I'm going to save this over the exact file. I hope this lesson was pretty concise and thorough with everything I demonstrated. I had a few pauses in the middle. I do apologize, but sometimes that's good. It gives you time to catch up on some things too, if I was going a little too fast. All right. So this was your lab for today. When I was gonna see you in person, I was gonna let you do this together with me. It takes longer, sometimes shorter, depending on the flow of the classroom. And then I would go around and help you and stuff if you got stuck with something. But the good thing is this is a video, so you can watch it, pause it, replay it, and do it until it gets done perfectly. I do want to see you do this and upload it to the discussion part of the class. So I will ask you to save this for me. Do me a favor. Let's do one of these. So I'm going to have to go to the layers panel, unlock the template, move the template here, move the drawing here. So we do what's called compare as we dare. Like that. I'm going to save it as an Illustrator file, sure. But don't upload the Illustrator file because I can't preview it. And for me to preview it, I have to download it and open it. I don't want to do all that, right? So just go to File, Export as, and save it as a PNG. You can just use the artboard that's there. That's fine. Android logo PNG. Hit the export button. Keep the resolution high. That's fine. 300 dpi. Transparent is okay. What will happen then is you're going to give me the actual PNG file. Notice the only transparent is the one we recreated from the original. So it's a perfect way to demonstrate your skill in doing this exercise with me. I will give you some time to do this today. So I do want to see you complete it, please. I'm going to create a discussion right here, just like we did one, I think, I don't think we did a discussion before. Let's do a discussion. So this is the perfect time as we're already kind of familiar with the software now. I'm going to add a discussion for us. This is what happens when we do a virtual lab. Even in the classroom, I do this. So we're going to go create. I do this, not you, so don't worry about it. Okay, let's call it a discussion. And Android logo exercise. Going to visible. Please upload your version. So I can see you did it, right? Now I'm gonna upload mine as the example persists. This is what you do to upload yours. You click on the response tab, you click on this little attachment, you add your PNG file like I asked you to generate from your attachment. You open that up. You leave this at default, that's fine. If you want to download, just hit the save button and your attachment should be there. Once you hit respond, it should upload directly to our discussion topic. And this is how we do things covertly with collaboratively in the class. Okay, so you can upload stuff and we can share ideas and stuff going forward. I will do this more and more later. But for now, now and then we'll do this from time to time. Oh. So under class 3, which is today, this week, click on the Android logo exercise and you'll see what I did. And you can respond to this and upload your version, please. Okay, so I want to see this done also by this week to show me that you're following along. And not to mention the assignment, which is due today. Keep my promise. I'm going to give you the extra time because it is your first assignment using the first program for the first time. So I'm going to go to the gradebook here, access the WordMark logo, go to my content and settings, and I'm going to make this due on Friday. So you have a little bit of an extension. That's maybe because I wasn't there to help you today. If you have some questions and stuff, I hope I demonstrated some of these points to help you. And if you still have questions, please ask me. But other than that, I think you should be okay. You do have 2 attempts. So in case you did submit it, let's say today you want to do some more work, you can upload it one more time. Okay. Sometimes I do that, especially when I do make adjustments like this. So your due date for this logo is Friday, which is not tomorrow, the next day after that. So good luck and have fun, and hope to see you guys next time in person. We'll have the Monday classes we always do online, and Wednesday I'll see you in person, and should be all okay by then. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now, and I'm gonna stop the recording. So thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next class. Bye for now, and stay healthy.